Why price discovery is so damn difficult in Venezuela today we discuss.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Today we are going to talk about why price discovery is so difficult in Venezuela. First, let's define what price discovery is, and according to Investopedia, price discovery is the overall process, whether explicit or inferred, of setting the spot price or the proper price of an asset, security, commodity, or currency. The process of price discovery looks at a number of tangible and intangible factors, including supply and demand, investor risk attitudes, and the overall economic and geopolitical environment. Simply put, it is where a buyer and a seller agree on a price and a transaction occurs. Well, according to Investopedia, it should be just the amount of any given transaction that is agreed between a buyer and a seller. But in Venezuela, this process is not as easy as it sounds. What happens within the Venezuelan economy is that there's a lot of frictions and a lot of distortions within the Venezuelan economy regarding supply and demand that, of course, affects supply chain, logistics, and also the market overall. And that affects not only fancy assets like real estate or stocks, but even simple stuff like meat, poultry, clothing, apparel, even technology gadgets, let's say the iPhone, or a laptop, or a tablet, or something of that nature. But now the main issue is that we have to go to the mindset of Venezuelans. And we already explained a couple of times on the channel that the mindset regarding the average Venezuelan of selling, investing, speculating, we already discussed that, is that Venezuelans are very stubborn when they are doing the price discovery process, because usually when they are the sellers, they want market premium price of what they think is their market value. Now, when they are buyers, they actually want a price way below the actual market value. So closing the gap between the expectation of the seller and also the buyer is a tiresome process, and that's why many transactions don't come into fruition. Now let's talk to the actual market, what happens, and I don't want to talk on many assets. Let's start for real estate. What happens with real estate is many people who own real estate usually price their properties regarding the prices and the economic status quo that we had just like a decade ago, and they don't remember that they remember when the country used to produce 3 million barrels of crude oil per day. Also, the country had a GDP that it was 6 times higher than we have today. Also, there were a banking credit, there were mortgages. The mortgage market is pretty much not existent at the moment. The salaries were better, and so on and so on and so on. So they don't actually set the price on the real market, they set the price on La La Land, and that's why most of the time they are not able to sell their properties. But even in typical household items, like, of course, we have meat or just your average groceries, it's difficult, of course, these people in the business of grocery shops and so on, and household appliances, and of course, household basic goods. What happens is they are more savvy regarding the situation within Venezuela. Usually there is still a spread between the different regional markets and also different grocery stores here, over there, but still they have more sanity and they have more knowledge of how the process works. So, but still you see a discrepancy amongst prices and at each different location. Now, nothing says more lousy price discovery in Venezuela than the used car prices. In Venezuela are completely crazy. We see used cars from from the 90s on, let's say, $4,000, $5,000. And even the, let's say, the newer cars, 2018, something like that, could be double as, or even in some cases, triple as you might pay in some other places all over the world. And actually, in Venezuela, goes beyond crazy is when you see all of these different prices and all of these different listings that actually we have a lot of content creators in Venezuela just discussing that typical subject, and it's hilarious the crazy prices that we see on used cars. Now, this is mostly because we had a currency exchange control by the Venezuelan government during that lasted like 15 years. And right now we don't have it. Technically we have it, actually we don't have it. And that created that cost, the car imports, that actually importing cars to Venezuela is very expensive. There is a lot of taxes involved by old legislation that is not being updated in order to protect the national car industry that is on rubbles right now, is practically destroyed. There is just a handful of cars produced within the country, and the imports have very, very high prices. So the used car market in Venezuela goes beyond crazy. Other issue that we have is on the labor market. Salaries in Venezuela are very, very, they're awful. That's why most people don't rely on salaries in order to make ends meet. Usually they're self-employed and they do their own thing, they sell stuff instead of just relying with a salary. That's why salaries are so bad in Venezuela. But there is also an issue within the country, is that labor, the relationship between labor and capital is that in Venezuela, capital is valued a lot, and labor is not valued. So labor is not as valued within the Venezuelan economy. I'm talking graduates from STEM degrees or white collar professions. So they have, even then, they have terrible salaries. So that's why most people don't pursue a career, official career that we had on the old days, like becoming a lawyer or becoming an accountant or becoming an engineer, and even some cases doctors. The doctors are in healthcare is an issue of their own, but that's why the labor market also is, is a very dire in Venezuela at the moment. So what ends up happening overall within Venezuela regarding the economy and the price discovery process is that you have a lot of frictions, but also a lot of mismanagement for lack of knowledge of the operators within the economy. I'm not talking about the government, by the way, that's another issue. I'm talking private participants on any given market, real estate, groceries, retailers, and professional services, so on and so on and so on and so on. So basically, what ends up happening is that everyone sets their prices on a very, wacky, far-fetched mode, and at the bottom line is that people only, on most cases, they only do transactions when they have a terrible need for their particular situation. For instance, God forbid, healthcare. They go to healthcare only when they need it the most, and that's where they have to pay the most. Same thing with real estate. They sell when they have no choice, so they sell on a loss, or they don't sell at all, on most cases. Even things like buying groceries. And groceries is more of a reasonable market, so they do their thing. But that's why it's very strange to participate on the Venezuelan economy regarding price discovery, price gouging, and setting the final price in order to create more transactions on the Venezuelan economy overall.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.